This is the Handicap Snip daily racing preview service recording for the 26th of July, Thursday. The first bet, unusually, is going to be over the jumps. We go to Worcester in the 210. I'm going to give you the bets first. 210 Worcester. Selection is number 7, Fit for 50. And that is a 3-point win bet. There is 4-1 available as I speak. 3 points win, try to get the 4-1. Second bet, 2 o'clock at Yarmouth. And the selection is number 5, Strictly Carter. Half a point each way. 2 o'clock, Yarmouth, Strictly Carter, half a point each way. 3:05 Yarmouth. Number 5, TSL. There's 3-1 available. I've made it a 2-point win bet, but I'm pretty strong on him. 3:05 Yarmouth, TSL. I'll talk about him in the roundup. The next bet is at Doncaster in the 5:15, and it's number 3, Point of Woods. 1 point to win. There's 3-1 available, and the final bet will be in the 6:25. 6:25 at Doncaster. Number 2, Be Perfect. 1 point to win. That's all the bets. If you want to listen to what I've got to say, then stay on the line. If you're only interested in those, then you can stop the video now. A quick whiz through the Worcester card so we can understand why we're having a bet. In the 210, it's a low grade handicap chase over 2.5 miles on good ground. And I've selected this horse here, Fit for 50. He's only a 6-year-old. Brian Hughes gets on board, top jockey. I'm not a fan of the yard, but this horse has only ever run his best races on decent ground, good ground. He's only 6. He's only had 3 chases, and he's improved from chase to chase to chase. 4-1 available. He's well fancied. You can see the 6 people tipping him up. I'll make him a strong bet. I did look carefully at this 240, and there was 1 or 2 that caught my eye. The one that caught my eye the most is number 11, Smiling Jessica. She had a prep run over hurdles 13 days ago. She did win at Musselburgh over 3 miles. This is 2 miles 7. Still lightly raced, only had about 5 chases. I just thought the price was a bit skinny for a horse, that's had a bit of a break and only had the 1 hurdle run. So she may well win, but I didn't think it was good enough value, so I left it. But she's one to put down if you wanted to do a small odds each way multiple for tiny stakes. She's likely to run a good race. Then there's a decent handicap hurdle, 0 to 120 over 2 miles. What's confusing me and why I didn't end up having a bet is that Bridget Andrews is riding this horse here for Dan Skelton, excellent team. And I give him a better chance than his stablemate, who's been ridden by Harry Skelton. And the one's 10 to 1 and the other one's 15 to 8. And because of that, it's left me confused. And I've decided I'm either getting exceptional value or I'm not. And I can't decide which it is, so I've left it alone. But I was very interested in excellent team. And with only 7 runners, I didn't think it was worth going each way. And in the end, I decided better safe than sorry. 3:45 as an odds-on favourite. He should win. 4:20, the Twizzler. He looks miles ahead of his field, and he should win. Whether he will or not remains to be seen, but he really ought to. This was an interesting race at 4:50. We've got 2 chasers coming back to hurdling. 2 horses that got Paul Nicholls and Peter Bowen. We've got a 126 rated horse, the last but one, and Play the Ace, who's a chaser, 9 years old, rated 130. They're dominating the market at evens and 13 to 8. But this 4-year-old down here, he's not out of it. He ran a decent race over 2 miles, and he's stepping up to 2.5 miles for the first time. The longer trip may well suit him. Again, it was a case of had there been 9 or 10 runners and we were getting 6 or 7 to 1 the field, we would have been on each way, but a small win bet isn't really of much value there. We'd rather be, see, what we'd like to be doing is having 10 runners, get 5 or 6 to 1 and have a small each way with a good confidence that we're going to at least get in the frame. So, and then there's a handicap hurdle. Now, I nearly advised this horse, 520, the 520 at Worcester. This horse here, Tidal Watch, John Joe O'Neill, is a horse is absolutely flying. He's won his last 4 on the bounce. He won 4 days ago at Newton Abbot. He hacked up by 10 lengths. He's got a penalty and an extra 3 furlongs to go. You can get 15 to 8. He may well just trot in again. He really might. But at 15 to 8, I decided, well, at the best price, 15 to 8. Even if he wins, you're not really winning much. So I decided to leave him alone. But he probably will win. He's one of those exceptionally well-treated horses. He's probably got a stone in hand. But then, what puts you off is a horse like this from Dan Skelton. It's a mare. It's had a Windop, first run since a Windop more than 59 days ago, and it's in the market at 2 to 1. And that really puts me off betting the horse with the penalty, having won 4 days ago, and stepping up in trip. So that's why I left that alone. Then there's amateur riders handicap hurdle, and this is really a complete lottery. So I couldn't get involved in that. So that's just the one bet at Worcester, fit for 50. I'm expecting a very bold show. Brian Hughes, Master Rider, 3 points win at 4 to 1. That's a solid bet. Over the Yarmouth card, it's very low grade stuff at Yarmouth. I've had a good look at this 2 o'clock race. It's a 6 furlong handicap, class 6, very low grade. And they're unreliable horses. I gave serious consideration to this horse, Catapult. But his only one decent piece of form was last year. He's only 3 years old. And they put Edward Greatrex on board. He's a top jockey. He's underrated at the moment. You're going to find out that he really is an excellent rider. He might make the difference today, Edward Greatrex, on this horse. Do not be surprised if that bounces back. But it has only got 1 run in its life that gives it any justification for being considered, and it has got to bounce back to that, and it may not. At the head of the market, you've got At Your Service, scraped home over course and distance. I make him a very bad favourite. Bad favourite, At Your Service. Deeds Not Words used to be rated much higher than this. He was rated in the high 80s at one time. He may well have turned the corner. He won last time out, but you're only getting 11 to 4. This horse, Alcashaf, was second in a cellar. And they've got Thomas Greatrex on this one, claiming 7. Dangerous trainer, Daniel Mark Loughnane. However, Alan Bailey has got this horse, Strictly Carter. He's won at the distance, which was at Brighton, over 6 furlongs, on fast ground, off a mark of 57. He's in here off 55, with Harry Burns claiming 7. 3 starts ago at Brighton, which he apparently likes Brighton, finished well in front of Deeds Not Words, but yet he's £7 better off with him today. So at 12 to 1, I thought he could run a much better race today than last time out, where he was behind Deeds Not Words. Half a point each way. It's got every chance of getting in the frame because a lot of these are very poor indeed. So that was why it was half a point each way, Strictly Carter. The 230. Looks a match between the top 2 here, Pink Iceberg and Fognini. I'm not getting involved. We have Tearsall, 305 in this 1 mile 2 handicap. We've got this horse Global Wonder in here for Gay Kellaway as a 6 to 4 favourite. 3 years old, carrying 9 stone 6. Let's have a little look at him. Never won a race. Stepping back up in trip. Was at Hamilton, finished second, been second at Chelmsford and Newcastle. He's 6 to 4 favourite. Let's compare him to Tearsall. Tearsall has got Edward Greatrex on board. Was second over 11 furlongs at this track last time out. And he was beaten only a neck in this race last year off a £9 higher mark than he appears this year. He's in form. He's well handicapped. He's got a top jockey on board. And I've got no doubt, let's just have a look, last year, Yarmouth. He came in off the back of a win, actually, last year. He'd won at Leicester. He came back off a mark of 62 and just got touched off. There were 13 runners or something. That's right, 13 runners. And here he is, Tercel. Got beaten neck. Pulled 2.5 lengths clear from the third. Excellent run. That was off a mark of 62. And here he gets the run off 53. Arrives in form. You can get 3 to 1 and make an absolute stonking bet. Got to be trying, everything in his favour. The rest of that Yarmouth card is not worth talking about. Go over to Doncaster. This 5:15 here. I really make this a 2-horse race between Point of Woods and Mutterdell. They finished first and second at the course a week ago. That was over 5 furlongs. This is now over 6 furlongs. Whether Mutterdell can reverse the form is hard to say, but because of the adjustments of the weights, despite having finished in front, Point of Woods is actually better off at the weights this time because it was an apprentice's race. Is unpenalised. Also, before having that win, he's had a wind operation, and this is his second run after a wind op, and he could be exceptionally well treated. So I definitely thought he was worth a point win, not much more, because it is a 6 furlong handicap, low grade. You've got a £7 claimer on board. There's no point getting stuck in heavy. Through the rest of the card, there's a nice 2-year-old race. Didn't want to get involved. There's probably some nice horses in there. Now this little handicap here of 5 runners, it would be perfect for Be Perfect. He's on his mark. He likes fast ground. He likes a small field. I'm hoping that James Sullivan gets to the front. It's a freebie as a hold-up horse. I think these will all be held up. And hopefully he can set his own gallop, get the fractions right and fend them off. Because he's definitely arrived in good form. He's been running consistently well. He's on a mark he can definitely win from. The rest of the card is very tricky. There's a fillies handicap, which is a match between Island Cloud and Crotchet. I think Island Cloud should prevail in this race. You know what should did, so no bet. Again, another 3-year-olds only race, and you've got Ed Dunlop taking on Sir Michael Stout and Roger Varian and Tom Dascombe. You would think one of those is going to win, but there wouldn't be any surprise for there to be a boil over. Then there's a nice looking 2-year-old race, 3-year-olds race, and you've got a Godolphin horse here, 4 years old. He's only seen the course twice. Odds on, he really ought to win. Another poor handicap. We're going to have a look at Sandown in Newbury. Sandown I found to be an exceptionally difficult card, and I decided to leave it alone for betting purposes. There's a nice maiden for 2-year-olds. Probably some nice horses in there. Too difficult. There's a listed race for fillies. I was very drawn to this Carl Burke horse here. This is one for your notebook, 220. In the end I decided not to have a bet, but I was very interested in Coduro. Won very nicely, stayed on very strongly at Carlisle. It's just very hard to know whether that form is going to match up anywhere near what's required for a listed race at Sandown, but I can assure you that Carl Burke would not be sending the horse there if it didn't have a chance. But with only 7 runners, again, I'd like to be betting it each way, but with only 7 runners, there's no point. You're only getting 2 places for each way terms, so a small win bet doesn't appeal because it's likely to get beat. But it's an interesting horse. Pay attention to that. Put it in your notebook. See how it does. Then there's a 3-year-olds only handicap, far too difficult. I did have a serious look at this 325. Very, very tricky. The horse I noted here of interest was called You're Hired. He had a very truncated career, must have had a problem. Only ran twice down the field last year, but he was on his way to being a 100 rated horse. So I'd be interested to see if there's any money and how well he runs in the race. There's a fillies handicap. This Fanny by Gaslight won very impressively under Sylvester de Souza last time out on very fast ground. Whether we can reproduce it, I do not know, and I would not be paying at 9 to 4 to find out whether she can. Again, there's another very tricky handicap for 3-year-olds only. This Clive Cox horse won on its final start to get a handicap mark, and it appears off 76. And it's anybody's guess whether it's really a 76 rated horse or higher or lower. If you bet it, it could get beat, and if you bet against it, it could bolt up. So for me, it's leave it alone. And I very nearly put you on, this was the nearest to a bet at Sandown. The nearest horse to a bet was Lord Clenner Castle. But I just couldn't bring myself to have the bet. He may well be able to get involved at a nice price, and the yard does well at Sandown. But I decided to leave it alone, it was too speculative. And finally over to Newbury, again a very tricky card. Amateur Riders Handicap. Simon Walker always takes up a large amount of the market. He's the top amateur rider. Whether his 9-year-old horse is capable of winning, I don't know. I couldn't decide, left that alone. This horse Gripper, ridden by the other top rider, 3 years old, Serena Brotherton, 7 to 2. Those look like the two against the field, Gripper and Attain. Legends of War won nicely on debut and then was tried in much stronger company next time out, back into a novices stakes. John Gosden does exceptionally well at Newbury in this kind of race. I really expect that to win. And then John Gosden in the next race, which is another novices or maiden fillies, Class 4, he introduces a very nice horse here called To the Moon. First time out. And whatever else you fancy in the race, you've got to pay attention to this. It's a filly by Cedar Stars out of a Dutch art mare. And it says the half sister and the dam both won on debut. I've got no doubt that's a very nice horse. But what else you're bouncing into here? Hannon and Palmer and Hannon again. Then there's a very tough 3-year-olds only handicap again. Class 4. Really couldn't delve into that. And a nursery. And a fillies handicap. None of those races make any appeal. And then a Class 5 handicap. So there we go. Those are the bets. Those are the bets I've given you. Just if you want to make a note. Fit for 50, Strictly Carter, Tour Sale, Point of Woods and Be Perfect. If you want to do a micro stakes each way, Lucky 31, I wouldn't put you off because they should all give you a run for your money. Okay? Speak to you all tomorrow.